Guys ready? Okay, it's 5:30, so we'll call the Board of Public Works meeting to order on Monday, September 30th in the City Hall Council Chambers. Item 2, approval of minutes from August 19th, 2024, Board of Public Works meeting. Entertain a motion. Got a motion from Fire, second from Stauber. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments tonight? Go ahead. Please state your name and address.
Thank you. My name is David Hirsch. I live on 412 East 14th Street, right next to the fairgrounds by the alley. And my concern is the dust problem that affects our property and other properties around. I know complaints from the neighbor lady next to us that she's wondering all her vehicles is always dusty. It sits outside. I said, well, when we got east wind, we got a dust bowl coming our way. And I'm here to listen to see what we can, or what you can work out and take care of that problem. I'm sure the blacktopping issue is too expensive, but there's others, avenues a person can take. When Adam Fisher was on it, he got some byproducts from I believe it was from the mills, and he spread it through the parking lot of the fairgrounds, and that helped quite a bit. So anyway, that's why I'm here, concerned about the dust. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. We are going to move that agenda item up to deal with that one earlier, so you don't have to sit through the whole meeting. Yeah. All right. Any other citizens' comments tonight? I see none. Item 4, construction updates presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent, and Josh Moritz, City Engineer.
Good evening. The concrete crew spent the last 2 weeks removing the old asphalt and grading out the 2 alley projects for asphalt. While American was paving in the area of East 14th Street, the alley between 12th and 14th was completed. The remaining alley is ready for asphalt and its schedule is to be determined. Ash Avenue concrete sidewalk repairs were completed. We're currently working with American Asphalt, and then we'll get that on the schedule for shaping. We do have some additional dirt restoration to complete there that we weren't able to at the end of last week. We started the work on Emmanuel Court today. We'll complete the ditching, tile, and culvert replacements on Emmanuel and then proceed to Luther with the same process. These 2 cul-de-sacs were pulverized last week, so as soon as we get the ditching done, we'll schedule with American the fine grading to get these 2 along with ash. These 2 cul-de-sacs to be fine graded along with ash. We do have several roads ready for the final asphalt surface to be paved. They are 11th, Locust, Palmetto, 12th, and 15th. Late last week, these roads received another round of dirt touch-ups to correct any erosion that happened after the initial dirting. And also American Asphalt informed us this afternoon that they will be here tomorrow to put the surface asphalt on most, if not all, of these roads. The last steps of shouldering and sign installation on South Lincoln has been started and will be finished once the pressure is off the crew that is doing the ditching work on those 2 cul-de-sacs. All of the underground is completed on South Maple. I would like to recognize this underground crew. Not only were they faced with the challenging depths of 16 feet, but they also coordinated efforts with the crew from Marshall Utilities, who were installing the water main to allow no slowdown on this project. This timing with the coordination with Marshall Utilities allowed our concrete crew to get in there last week, which is 2 days earlier than expected, and they were able to begin pavement restorations. We expect the pavement restorations to last approximately 4 weeks. When we will get that road overlaid with some asphalt. Lastly, our 2 traffic control employees have been able to complete some mainline retrace of the center skip line dashes on several roads east west of Oak. Today, they began the layout and paint markings on 14th Street, pulling that work back in-house. They were able to get all the yellow paint down today, and the white paint of the crosswalks and the stop bars will begin tomorrow. We expect this painting to be completed by Wednesday, eliminating our work from being the cause of not being able to open it. This ends the construction update for the street division.
Okay, Josh.
All right, from a update from the engineering projects that we're involved with, first one being Green Acres Estates. There's 2 or 3 more weeks of underground utility work. Right now, most of the roads, except for 21st Street, are complete with utilities, grading, and base placement. Chippewa pavers should be coming in this week to start curb and gutter work on the 4.5 streets that are completed. And the developer is continuing to construct foundations and basements along 21st Street and Ironwood Avenue. And so it looks quite a bit different out there. 14th Street, Tim mentioned, street division's doing the final pavement markings on 14th. Much of the signage has been done by them as well. So that should be opening up late this week or early next, depending on some minor touch-ups that the contractor has yet to do up there. And finally, in my update is the Adler Road Trail. They are moving right along with grading and underground utility work. And that is on target, I think, to meet a mid-October opening, which was the proposed deadline.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Go ahead.
Just to add to the construction updates, I know Mark is probably more in tune with this, but the tertiary filter and biosolids work at the wastewater treatment plant is underway, and they're approximately about 8 to 10% into that project right now.
Two things. One, I haven't yet had a chance to walk 14th Street. From what I did see, I didn't want to get in the way, but it was looking really good. Do you happen to remember what the specification was for the downset between the manhole cover and the final layer of asphalt?
I believe it's supposed to be a 1/4 inch, I believe. It's
Okay.
easier to attain with a concrete street. Asphalt paving, you're kind of slightly at the mercy of the contractor that's paving and how they roll it, finish it. It's been a challenge. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're familiar, but
Yeah.
it's always a challenge.
Yeah, the old surface was kind of dodging potholes, but they were just manhole covers. So if they're, let's say, outside of tolerance, do we put collars on them, or how do we handle that?
Not typically. I mean, it's probably an option, but it's not something we do at the end of a project.
Yeah, okay.
We had one that when was set, they realized that it was actually set at the binder grade, and they actually had to bring a casting to raise it up. But those castings are typically over 1 inch thick to start with, so you're kind of stuck. It's an inch adjustment automatically. So we tried to set all that with GPS and elevations to make sure that they were at the grade that was designed in the roadway when put together.
And then the last question, unrelated, but are there plans for an annual bus tour as one of our meetings to just see all the projects that are occurring? I know we used to in the past, and we'd invite residents once in a while to ride along.
Sure, I can start making those arrangements.
I mean, if that's something the group would like to do, I thought it was good.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, then we will move up item 11, which is discussion of maintenance within the fairgrounds property presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works, and we will go back to our standard order after that.
All right, I took and after receiving the email from Mr. Stauber here this week, I took and pulled out asked Justin Casperson to send the copy of the agreement between the fairgrounds and the city for maintenance of the site. There was nothing specifically identified in the agreement that talks about the maintenance of dust or the gravel area. But due to the complaints, I basically went through and tried to come up with 3 possible solutions, and just for discussion purposes here and see where we want to go with that. And then we have to figure out from that, I'll just kind of go through them. The first one was to pave the first 7 or up to the alley location. It's about 7,000 feet of asphalt paving. I calculated that to be about $14,000 to do that, just that section from 14th to the first alley. The second one, I calculated for about the same size area, placing approximately 2 to 2.5 inches of asphalt millings from our pile to drag that out and compact that over the site. And that'll be about $3,000 to do that for that portion. And then Tim and I were talking about using AMP, which is a product that we use for spreading on streets for for salting during the winter months. And that's typically about $3 per gallon. So I took and worked with Tim to come up what would a typical application cost be. I did just the lane areas of the Vine Avenue, and it would probably run around $500 per application. Just to use the water and AMP as part of the solution to help with getting the dust and the particles to stick. So those are three options that are out there. Probably a little bit, the AMP and water solution is probably a little cheaper than using the calcium chloride that's been typically used in the past. And then I also did invite Dale here if you had any questions for Dale. So kind of go from that and see where you want to go with discussion-wise. We are just about into the budget process. The smaller ones, like the AMP, I guess we could take a look at funding that somewhere through one of our projects or our like asphalt mill in place program, just do something quick and easy. Even maybe the millings could possibly be done that way, but the larger one, like putting actual asphalt down, I think that would have to fall under a capital improvement program process. So I'm here to answer any other questions you might have on that.
Any questions?
So the responsibility of maintaining that Vine extended belongs to the city or the fairgrounds or county, or who actually?
It's city-owned property that was under the jurisdiction of the Parks and Recreation Department. And if you read the agreement, that area is actually under the responsibility of the fairground. No. It is not an open street. It's not constructed to street standards.
And closing it off entirely is not an option because it's used for softball and
Access to the parking lot.
Dale, I mean, if it's, I guess from my vantage point, if it falls under the fairgrounds, and it comes down to cost and planning, what's the life expectancy of the least costly option?
I probably have to say, ask Tim and probably,
How many rainfalls or however you want to say?
Yeah, definitely how much traffic it gets and other weather conditions that could erode that material. It is a product that we use in the wintertime. It attracts moisture, so it does the intent of what we're looking for here, keeping that moisture in the gravel, that it draws it right out of the air. So it does the same thing as other townships and stuff use. How long it'll last is a question that we'll only know in time with trying.
And the next more expensive option of millings, explain that to me. Would that be a byproduct to a street project that would be rolled so it's got some stability, or is it more like a gravel?
It's the same product we put on shoulders, so it is fresh off. Every year we haul asphalt chunks down to our pile, and that's what we crush, is we turn it into what we call millings. It's the asphalt off of a street. It does have a lot of the same oils. Some counties are reusing that as in their asphalt mix, and they're able to reduce the oil content of new oil because it still has a lot of those products of an asphalt street to be able to roll it and pack it. Again, there is wear and tear from traffic and sunlight, weather, that does kind of the same thing.
Do we put that on any alleys right now?
Yeah, we use this on repairing all of our alleys as milling. So again, it's similar, you'll get the similar end result as what some of our alleys are. Just the abuse from motorists and cars, weather, all that.
So the estimate that I gave was just that first 7,000 square feet from 14th to the alley, just to get that in, and that was about $3,000 with material and labor.
Go ahead, Mike.
My question is, okay, you stop it, you want to stop it now at that alley. Now from there until where they block off, fine, what about that area? What about all I gotta be careful how I say this, all the people that don't use their vehicles quite right and raise dust? You're gonna have just as much dust found down near the exhibition building than you are on that road. There's a lot of dust area out there other than just that street. So I don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's a problem. Unless you can shut off, you could keep them from getting on that. Is there a way that we can bring them in and take them down into the parking lot and not race down that dirt area?
so there is a fence at the Expo building,
Mhm.
and that I did drive by. That fence was closed today. And if we can keep that closed, it keeps a lot of the traffic that goes straight north-south through that site from doing that. It makes it inconvenient to get through that lot. So basically, if you're attending a softball game or something, you have to make your way around to 14th to get to the parking lot near the softball field. That would definitely help keeping that gate closed. Dale, if you'd like to answer any questions, you can come up and use the podium.
Yeah, this area has been a constant problem ever since the Fair Association took over management. We've done calcium chloride and we ran out of options to get that unless we purchased the full semi-load of it. Then we had puddles sitting around. We've tried several different things that we've tried to keep the dust down. This year, I will admit, we did nothing because the whole lot was being used all summer as a storage for the 14th Street project, and those guys were in and out of there so often. I guess my recommendation, or the way I look at it, with the traffic going through there, we close the gate, it does help. But people come in there, that gate is closed, they'll run up alongside of the gazebo, through the campground and out, and there's still traffic going in and out of there at all times. I think the solution would be to use the recycled blacktop on that first area. It's going to have to be a combination of that and then the other product that would keep the dust down on the larger part of the park. And I think it's going to be a trial and error just to see what works and what don't. But I think that would get us to the best solution, the way I look at it.
I was kind of thinking the same thing,
Okay.
a combination. And then it comes down to who's going to pay for it and who's got it in their budget.
Right, and the thing is, with the softball games going on in there, there's a bunch of traffic that uses that other area. So like Mike brought up, just putting millings down in that one area is going to help the initial problem where people are coming in and out of the lot. It's not going to help the dust that's created on that whole big area. So I think it's going to have to be a combination of both.
So what's the next step?
Go ahead.
My suggestion is give me some little leeway and let me take a look through our current budgets and how they're starting to end up for the year. And I think I probably could locate roughly $5,000 to $8,000. And my suggestion will be to do the asphalt millings for the first portion and then do some trials on the AMP on the rest of it or in some of the other areas. And let's see what that costs for the AMP placement. And I'll see what I can do to come up with some type of money to fill that gap.
And I don't know about cost sharing down to the level of the softball association or curling club, but they're the only users of that area. Would they have any money in their budget to help out?
Yep. In the money that I get from the city to manage the park, there could be a small amount, to $3,000 to $5,000. We could possibly come out of that account. The thing is, a couple of years ago, when we had so much snow, the fair was actually picking up some of that because there wasn't enough money there. So the fair and the city somewhat worked together to make this work. Last year, there wasn't as much snow. That gives us a little more money that we could use somewhere else, and depending on what this winter is, so.
So I guess I'm satisfied with the conversation, but still short-term, the rest of this summer, could we try out some of that wetting solution that we use for snow?
Well, my goal is to try to see if we can, in the next couple of weeks, if we can, I can kind of work things out to get some millings in there,
Okay,
and then also take a look at the wetting solution. Also, how about doing that?
did you catch that, Dave? Try to do yet this year.
Yeah, mhm, this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless,
Well, I think depending on how well it works, it would carry into next year and continue to do it, but I think it's good to get a start on
Yeah,
it. And
let me take a look at what I can do.
and I'm assuming this isn't anything we're gonna need an action on. It's just,
We'll just figure it out.
yeah. Okay,
all right,
everybody comfortable there? Go ahead, Mike.
We use those millings in the back of the Legion that goes all the way back to Maple, and it works real well. We put it in, well, the first part we put in about 3 years ago, and it's really kept up real. I don't know if we're gonna get as much traffic, and then we just finished the last road back out to Maple. So it takes all the ruts out, you don't have to drop your car into a hole.
yeah.
But it holds up pretty well. They roll it down, and so it's worth trying.
Definitely.
Even
Okay,
good
I think we-
during fair time, I would think, you know? So, Dale, thanks for coming, and Dave and Jan, thanks for being here.
Yes, thanks for the input. Okay, we'll move on. Item 5, discussion on adopt a parking lot program presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works.
All right, our representative from Main Street couldn't make it tonight, so I'm going to do all the presentation for this, and hopefully I get it right. Main Street has proposed to adopt a parking lot program where Main Street will manage a program to recruit businesses and residents to maintain and enhance the plantings of the green spaces within our numerous parking lots in the downtown. The Parks Recreation Department adds mulch early spring and does some maintenance to the planting areas in our numerous parking lots, with the zoo and multiple other parks and recreational facilities. Managing the parking lots are typically lower on their priorities level. With this program, the city would still continue to provide mulch for the parking lots. Enclosed with this memo is a proposed program and request that they would be allowed to place a sign to show acknowledgement of the donors and that have adopted the parking lot and those who have partnershiped with enhancing the appearance of the parking lots. So I am in favor of the Adopt a Parking Lot program and with Main Street and allowing the Main Street Administrative Program. So if you take a look, there is enclosed in here is a downtown Adopt a Parking Lot program. What they're proposing is that people apply for applications to be a funding partner or a volunteer partner. The funding partners would be the cash sponsorship for plants, fertilizer, and other things, and then and administrative costs. And then the volunteer partners would do the planting and that for that. And with doing that, you would have 2 names on the signs. The signs that they're proposing are about 23.5 inches by 23.5 inches. And I'd actually have them work with our street division to make sure that they get installed in a decent location in all the parking lots that this program is being proposed. So my recommendation is to approve the Adopt a Parking Lot program to be administered by Main Street Marshfield and that they coordinate with the sign installation with our street division.
I would move to approve.
Motion by Stover, second by Fire. Any comments, questions? Go ahead, address.
So the names that are on the sign, would they be the business name or individual names?
Could be whoever applies, I would assume.
So if they're being adopted by businesses, I would think it'd be appropriate to have the business name on there, but maybe Main Street already thought that through. It'd be another promotional touch point for the business, the way I look at it.
I actually think that they have one business that's willing to adopt, which funds it, and actually do the maintenance of that parking lot. So, I think it'll be a good program and it's worth, looking into.
No, I agree 100%. It's creative and it's kind of like the Adopt the Highway program.
Yep.
Very successful.
Any other comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6,
If I-
request,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, sorry to be out of line here. Isn't the Historic Preservation Commission in the process of re-signing all of downtown? I wonder if this should be coordinated with those efforts. I mean, they've got the logo on here, but I'm just wondering, maybe we should facilitate some kind of,
May not have any room on them. They're getting pretty full.
Well, I'm thinking with the downtown labeling, this could change from parking lot from year to year, depending on who's actually sponsoring it. So I would probably maybe just recommend leaving it with Main Street at this point and just letting them coordinate this process.
okay, just a thought.
all right. Item 6, request to purchase tandem axle truck presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent.
So the 701 staff has been continuing to monitor the 2027 EPA diesel emission changes. Through their investigation, it has become apparent new regulations will greatly affect the cost of new equipment for the model year 2027. Those model years are sold the year prior in 2026. Price increase estimates are currently expected to be approximately $20,000 to $30,000 more for that 2027 model sold in 2026. Because of those emissions and equipment changes. And also, manufacturers are upgrading a series update. Not only will the price increase, but it is also expected some shortage in available stock over the next 12 months because of the increase of orders, similar to what I'm requesting right now, from other municipalities and users of this style of truck. Being aware of this, we requested a bid for a complete truck and plow package. Currently, truck number 61, which is scheduled for replacement in the CIP year of 2026, is a single axle truck with only a plow and wing. Single axle trucks aren't typically highly utilized in our summer construction projects or winter snow hauling because of their limited hauling capacity, but they are used in our plowing operations. Remaining single axle trucks in the fleet are utilized for plowing and salting in the winter, and then converted to haul equipment in the summer, keeping them useful year round. With the fleet we have, the reduction of one we feel will still be adequate for our needs. The 701 M&E fleet replacement plan budgeted $275,000 for the replacement of unit number 61. The bid requested was for a tandem axle truck equipped with just the plow and the dump body for hauling. It will have a stainless box to lengthen the long-term maintenance of the rust repairs to the steel box and have more basic plow controls than our dedicated salt trucks due to its reduced dependency during just plow-only events in the winter. I did attach the specifications along with the truck chassis and snow equipment pricing. We requested pricing through Sourcewell, which came in at $132,994.07 for the chassis. The one issue with the Sourcewell pricing is that they only guarantee the discount that you'll receive upon delivery of the truck. So any price changes that did happen between now and then would be subject to our expense outside of the discount. Ascendance will guarantee the discount, and pricing will remain the same upon delivery for the price of $133,900. Monroe Plowing Equipment is for the plow equipment and the dump body for $112,876. Monroe also guarantees this discount and pricing will remain the same upon delivery. It would bring the total cost to $246,776. If this was approved, the chassis will be built in Q4 of 2025 and delivered Q1 of 2026. This schedule would align with the 2026 CIP, and payments for the chassis would occur upon delivery of the chassis in Q1 of 26, and then payment of the plow, very similar in Q1 of 26 once it's delivered. The $246,776 would be utilizing the 2026 701 Internal Service Fund. And we recommend the Board of Public Works approve the purchase of the 2026 tandem axle truck chassis from Ascendants, directly from Ascendants, and the plow equipment from Monroe for $246,776. Any questions?
I do have one. I think we might have talked about it before, but the source of revenue for the 701 fund, is it 80% taxes, 20% project cost, or how does that break down?
So every budget that has a piece of equipment in the 701 fund budgets motor pool. So that is 101 budgets, 401 budgets, 601 budgets, so wastewater. We do also bill out. So we bill quite a bit of billings to Marshall Utilities for doing work, cleaning up their patch repair, concrete repair and stuff. So we do bill out to external parties as well, any chance that we can.
So how would you break it down? Any ideas, percentage?
I would say it's probably 60% 101. Snow plowing is our biggest single budget to funding the 701. And then after the snow budget is 401, so projects.
Okay.
So the Lincoln Avenues, and the mill in place work, the overlay work, and then third, I would say, would be wastewater.
Okay.
As the three largest revenue sources for the 701.
Any other questions? You have something?
I'll make a motion to approve as recommended.
Okay, I'll second that, but if we approve it here, we're gonna get it to the council, gonna approve it, or we're gonna bring it back to us another 4 weeks? My question.
Well, I don't think anybody knows that till it gets there, Mike.
Well, then let's wait to see what happens. Keep bouncing things around.
Yeah.
I think we're crazy out
I guess I would say we're a small enough group where the chair, you got an opinion, Mike, you want to share it, go ahead
there. Yeah,
Opinion on,
on
Fine,
this
that's fine.
action. Yeah.
no, I support this.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Computer. All right. Item 7, request to purchase paint truck presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent.
Yeah, so when this item was previously presented for approval, questions were raised about the cost and recovery of the investment into the 701. Since that time, additional data was collected and analyzed to determine the effectiveness of street staff and equipment versus external contracted costs. Outside contractors compared were Adams County Highway, which recently assisted with our painting of the railroad advance warning, pavement markings, and Earth Incorporated, who was awarded the contract for the 14th Street project. Adams County is similar in nature to the city's tracking and billing style, where costs consist of materials, labor, hourly wage on the equipment, and the paint and beads. Earth Incorporated bid separates each type of paint marking and itemizes the cost per linear foot. So we took two comparables recently done. The first comparable is the railroad advanced warning marking. We took Adams County, did the work for us. They billed us the work. We took their cost, tried to break it down into something that we could then translate into our street division cost. We also did get one contractor bid on this project through Century Traffic. So Century Traffic was that contractor that we received we requested a quote from. They came in at $61,550. When we found that out, we sought additional contractors or different options to try to reduce that cost and found Adams County. Adams County is an hourly time and material type of organization just like us. And their final price to complete the painting was $12,890.72. I then calculated that out to their wage per hour, their equipment rate per hour, and their material cost per gallon or per pound, and then took that number of hours into our labor rate, our equipment rates, and our cost for materials. And our cost would have been $7,655.57. So that project did have some, it was my first time working with Adams County, but it did have some scheduling conflicts that it needed, because of the orders from the OCR, it needed to be resolved short term, quickly. So to get that project done, we thought it was best to bring in some additional resources. Now, looking back, I questioned myself on whether that was the right call to make or not, but we did get the work done and didn't have any further negative effects from the OCR. The comparison number 2 was for the work that we just recently completed out on Lincoln from 14 South. So we kept track of the work we painted. It was originally scheduled to be our project to get Lincoln painted, and took the same rates, took our rates, plugged in how many linear feet of skip dash, how many linear feet of fog line, crosswalks, all that stuff, and plugged it into the Adams County prices that I got from the table prior, and came out with the 2 prices for the time and material type of work, and then took Earth's contract price from the 14th Street project, multiplied that by the same footage of each type of paint marking, and came up with these 3 totals. So for Earth to complete Lincoln, the way we did would have cost us $11,715.70. It would have cost us to have Adams County, at best case scenario, $6,080.80. And I say that because the day it was paved on a Monday, and the Tuesday when we started to lay out, it actually rained twice that day. So I'm not sure if their crew would have been here long enough to continue to complete the work that day. If not, there would have been additional travel time. Adams County, you pay them from the minute they leave their shop to the minute they get back to their shop. So that number is somewhat subjective, because I don't know if they would have gotten all the work done that's on one day, or if those costs would have been additional. It did cost us, fully $5,061.29. I did add on extra time in the other box, because I couldn't schedule those 2 guys to go do anything else during that rain event. I couldn't put them on other projects or other work because I wanted them to be able to get back out there as soon as possible. Even though they did complete other work during that time, I couldn't dedicate them. So I took that total amount of hours that they were, in my mind, on the Lincoln project, and that would be the $6,755. So through all the comparables, it did help me realize some of the benefits to keeping this kind of work in-house. Other significant benefits beyond the cost savings shown in the comparisons above is the control to complete the painting immediately after the surface pavement is installed. This year, the street division worked along with Canadian National to complete track crossing repairs on Galvin, north of 4th Street. The closure to perform the work caused a significant traffic impact on Galvin. We were made aware from businesses in the East Industrial Park the impact this closure was causing their business. And the asphalt surface paving occurred on 7/19, and the workday following, which was 7/22, we were able to get all the pavement markings installed and back open to traffic. The same work performance occurred on South Lincoln. Final pavement on South Lincoln was installed on Monday, 9/9. The next workday, 9/10, the street division staff was completing pavement markings for layout and completed the work by 9/12 to allow Lincoln to be open. The diligence of the street staff to complete the Lincoln was greatly appreciated. It was the week prior to Visit Marshfield's Maple Fall Fest, which they were happy to be able to utilize Lincoln. So attached are the specifications along with the quotes from Ascendance and Vogel Traffic Services. The fiscal impact again for this is utilizing the 701, the 2025 701 internal service funds. The annual 701 revenue sources here again, for your question previously. Some of the funding sources for the 701 is our 101 account, the traffic control budget. The 401, which is the project budget, is also a big key player in funding the 701 account, along with the wastewater utility. Other revenue sources, Marshfield Utilities, and potential contracted work for Wood County or local townships with this machine. Through this research, I did have conversations with Wood County. They currently get requested from neighboring townships close to Marshfield for paint work to be done. And they currently just added to Adams County's plate when they're in doing Wood County's work. That I don't want to have that as the selling piece for this truck, but that potential is there if our crew were to free up enough after getting all of our work done to be able to be contracted out, similar to how Adams County is. So after an in-depth reevaluation of the cost comparisons, savings, and explanation of the resident business impact relying on contracted services, staff recommends the Board of Public Works approve the purchase of the Isuzu chassis from Ascendance and paint equipment installation from Vogel Traffic Services for $249,181.64.
Okay, comments? Entertain a motion? Anyone? Got a motion from Fire?
Second.
Second from Stauber. Any comments?
I got
Go
one. If you drive around Marshfield, they're gonna be really busy.
Yeah. Yep.
All the lines are getting faded. You can't see a white line or the yellow line anymore. And when you get the new truck, they're gonna be quite busy, because there's a lot of streets that need a lot of work. The old truck, from my gather, the old truck is not as expendable as you think it is, because
Right.
you got plugging and.
Yeah.
And I'm having had some conversation with some people. There's not much on that truck that's usable once we're done with it, so.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Russ.
I'm just kind of intrigued about this whole idea of farming out the service.
right.
Adams County will do it and charge us more than what it costs us to do it ourselves. And it just, brings to mind like an enterprise fund similar to EMS.
Yeah.
Um,
My first goal would obviously take care of our citizens,
Yeah,
the ones
yeah.
financing the machine. But long-term, there is potential there. And we have in the past done small projects, Heritage Drive, south of town here. But we wouldn't be making business cards for this yet.
Yeah, no, even a waiting list. So if
Yeah.
you've got some idle time or downtime.
Yeah,
Generate revenue for the Department of Revenue for an enterprise fund, I think would be a good idea.
I'd like to add, they can't come into Marshfield to blacktop our streets, because I don't know, there was an argument between the other people that do blacktopping and what they did, but it'd be nice if we could reciprocate and make unless somebody else wants to buy a truck and do this, we're in good shape.
Again, we're not looking to add any additional employees. We're using the existing employees, existing equipment, or this new piece of equipment, which is basically replacing another piece of equipment. But Tim and I talked about this. If we use it for, let's say, even 1 month solid for a summer, 4 weeks, that it would pay for itself in 13 years. So we want to just take into a comparison just to see how that kind of laid out. And so we want to make sure that it's a cost effective for the city. One of the things also that we look forward in as we look at the future We're seeing new mandates from the MUTCD, which is the Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the state, and other entities on various things that we do and design for with the city. I think pavement markings are going to start rising to the top and also being one of those additional things that we're going to have to do more of in the future.
Anyone else? I'd just like to thank both of you for spending the time going through this with me. I think it was a very good process for all of us, actually. The thing that sold me is being able to get on these projects right afterwards and not have to worry about scheduling in, because between Mother Nature and just other job scheduling, it can be very difficult. So after the discussion, yeah, I'm in full support of it. And I also agree that we have some neighbors that we could probably do on the side and help out with that funding a little bit. So, all right, with that, I guess we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, item number 8, request for proposal for design engineering services for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 4th Street to East 2nd Street, presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works.
All right, in the 2024, Marshfield was selected to receive federal funding through the STP Urban Program for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 4th Street to East 2nd Street. This project will be designed and bid let through the DOT process, which will require the city and the DOT to hire a consultant for design services. In July of 2024, the city entered into a state municipal agreement for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 4th Street to East 2nd Street. I have enclosed a copy. This project differs from other projects as the city applied for 80% federal funding for both design and construction. In the past, the city has funded 100% of the design process, but due to federal funding for the design process, the city shall adhere to Wisconsin DOT Facilities Development Manual, Chapter 8-5 for consultant services, securing consultant selection. A quick note for this project, this is estimated at about $1.573 million worth of work, and the city secured approximately $970,560 for this project alone. This project requires the city to solely select a consultant based on quality-based selection, and this does not allow us to discuss hours or dollars until the design consultant has been selected. The process requires the city to send an RFP to a minimum of 10 qualified consultants based upon the DOT's consultant selection service list, and also requires the city to receive at least 3 proposals for said services. Following the submittal in November of this year, we need to set a selection committee that will rate and ultimately choose the consultant based upon this qualification. The selections committee will make a recommendation to the DOT for approval of this process. The DOT then reviews it, and then the approval of the consultant, and we can begin negotiations in conjunction with the city and consultant for WSDOT officials. A copy of this request for proposals is attached. The format is very similar to what we used in the last one, which was Vine Avenue from 4th Street to 14th Street, which was there just a few months ago. The selection committee will be made up of the engineering division staff and 2 members of the Board of Public Works, whom will evaluate proposals and bring a recommendation forward to the Wisconsin DOT for their approval. Therefore, I would recommend the following actions from the Board of Public Works. First, to approve the request for proposals for design services for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 4th Street to East 2nd Street, and authorize staff to solicit proposals. Number 2, to appoint 2 members of the Board of Public Works to the selection committee. And number 3, authorize the Director of Public Works to submit the DET 1515 paperwork to the DOT personnel confirming the chosen consultant and to negotiate a 3-party agreement for construction services. Just a quick note, when we do get that actual agreement, it will be reviewed by city attorney, city staff, and then brought back to the Board of Public Works for approval.
Okay, you entertain a motion?
So moved.
You have a motion, second, anyone? Okay, we have a second, motion and a second. Any conversation? I see none. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Are we gonna select, two,
Oh.
representatives from the Board of Public Works?
Can we pick the two that aren't here?
I think, yeah. Werman and Giles.
As long as they show up to the meeting, I'm good with that.
And Mike and I will be backup.
So
We can.
Do we have to do it now, or can we?
I think you can discuss, as long as I have two members on the
We'll
review
get
committee.
to,
Okay, I need to have that when it actually takes place, so.
Okay,
we'll talk to them. Tell them it's the Russian election.
yep,
You don't show, you get it.
yep. Okay, so we're good to go with that one. We can just move on.
Okay, we'll do that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do item 9, request for proposal for design engineering services for the reconstruction of East 4th Street from South Maple Avenue to South Peach Avenue. Presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works.
And this was another STP urban project that I applied for the reconstruction of East 4th Street from Maple Avenue to Peach Avenue, which was originally constructed in 1954. This is following the same process of going the 80-20 split, so we have to follow the same process for selecting consultant. Quick note that the city secured $1.736 million $600 for this project, and the estimated construction is $2,729,000. Again, this requires quality-based selection, and therefore I'd recommend approval of the following actions from the Board of Public Works. Approval of the request for proposals for design and engineering services for the reconstruction of East 4th Street from South Maple Avenue to South Peach Avenue, and to authorize staff to solicit proposals. Appoint 2 members from the Board of Public Works to the selection committee, and authorize the Director of Public Works to submit the DT 1515 paperwork to the DOT personnel confirming the chosen consultant, and to negotiate a 3-party agreement for construction services.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any conversation? We'll move forward. I'm assuming we'll assume the same path with the appointees.
Good.
So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Can we put that selection thing in the minutes, so we have it, we don't meet separately, so it's here? We'll get it done. What I'm saying is,
Yeah. All I need is 2 members, and no matter who you choose, if you want to do that, just make mention of it at some point. That's all I need to have 2 members.
Okay, item 10, update on Marshfield Hewitt wastewater discussions, presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works.
All right, on September 11th, we had our initial meeting with the Village of Hewitt and their elected officials to discuss the possibility of them putting in a pump station and a force main to send their wastewater flows to the city of Marshfield. It was a very basic meeting. They approximately have about 66,000 gallons a day that they treat on average, where we treat just under 3 million gallons a day here at the city of Marshfield. So we had a discussion, and then they went back to their board, and they would like to continue to move forward with this process. We did explain that there's that any costs that we have for trying to create estimated costs for treatment and such, and reviews would be borne 100% by the Village of Hewitt, that the city of Marshfield would not be involved in this, as there is no real incentive for us to take this extra flow. They are agreeing to that. They're just trying to figure out some of those, we're trying to figure out some of those numbers, but we're working towards it. So I feel this process is going to be probably at least a 2-year process, plus or minus, before we even get drop one, if we do make it to that point.
Any questions? Nothing? Okay. Item 11, discussion of maintenance within the fair. Oh, we skipped that one already. Recommended items for future agendas. I see none. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.